Hello, my friends. Today we're learning Baba Basra Daf Kuf Beis. I'm here in India, in a city called Ernakulam, in the south of India, in a shul that's over 800 years old. Baruch Hashem, I feel a lot of gratitude that I'm here. It's a shul where my wife's grandmother might have davened here, and because she grew up over here in this community, and her mother and all her family. So it's a big honor for me. Let's go ahead. It's a bit of a complicated sugya. So we learned in the past that there's a machloikis between Chachomim and Reb Shimon in the Mishnah. What's the way you build a ma'ara shel kvura? Do you build the chotza? Everyone agree that the chotza in between is 6 on 6. The question is the ma'ara next to it 6 on 4 or 6 on 8? So that's Shittas Reb Shimon, that's 6 on 8, and the Shittas Chachomim, it's 6 on 4. So says the Gemara, Tnan Hosom, we learned over there talking about if you find a dead person. So the din is, if you find a dead person that you never knew that there's a Beis HaKvaros there, so it depends. If you find him in a way that it doesn't look like that he was purposely buried there, let's say he's sitting up, he's not lying down, that's not considered Beis HaKvaros. It means he died there by chance. Maybe he wasn't even Jewish because they didn't bury him like Jewish person, or even if he is Jewish, maybe they put him quickly and they were planning to move him. And therefore you're allowed to move him away from there. The only case where you're not allowed to move a person from there when we assume that it's a proper Beis HaKvaros and that he was buried there, and therefore you're not allowed to move him. So it says over there in the Mishnah, Tnan Hosom, Kuf Aleph on the base, 3 lines up. Amoitze meis mushkov kedarkes. So someone found a dead person lying like a person's meant to be buried, and he only found one mace, noitloi. You could move the mace from there. Vest fusosoi. That fusosoi means the earth that's underneath him because the mace was there for a long time. So his skin, flesh went into the skin, so we have to take the earth around him, and we learn it from Yosef that he took his atzomes from Mitzrayim. Shnaim, if you found 2 maces, noitlon vest fusosoi, the din applies, the same din applies that you take the mace together with the tfusas mace, the earth that's around it. Says the Mishnah, continues on Daf Kuf Beis Amud Aleph, Motza Shloisha, if you found 3 dead people, Im yesh beineim, if the distance between the 3 dead people is me'arba ad shmoina, from 4 ames till 8 ames, Aryeh zu shchunas kvaris, we assume that this is a Beis HaKvaros, and therefore you're not allowed to move them. Uboidek mimenu lahalon, and you have to check from these 3 dead people, from their distance of Esrim Amo, 20 Amo, and the Gemara soon is going to explain why this 20 Amo. Motza Acher Besoif Esrim, if after 20 Amos you found only 1 mace, Besoif Esrim Amo, Boidek Mimeno Lalon Chof Amo, Shiraglaim Ladovo. That now you have to check not only from, you found 3, you have to check 20 amma. You found 1 over there, you have to check another 20 amma, because maybe there was a lot of kvaros over here. And says the Mishnah that the only reason why you have to look for another 20 amma because raglaim ladovo. Sheilu mitchilo motzoi. If you'd only found this 1 dead person over there, noitlo vest fusose, as we said early on. But now that we found him 20 ammas away from 3 dead people, so we assume there was a shchunas kvaros. Once it's a shchunas kvaros, a Beis HaKvaros, you have to check another 20 amma because maybe there was more caves with dead people. So until here is Divrei Mishnah. Says the Gemara wants to bring a raya from here. Omar Mar, we learned me'arba vad shmoina, that the way, if you found 3 in the distance of 4 to 8, you have to start looking elsewhere. Moni, who is this Mishnah? Irabonon, it doesn't fit in. Rabbanon said that the basic normal cave of Kvaris is from 4 to 6 amas. So where does 4 to 8 amas come from? Rab Shimon, if it's Rab Shimon, can't be Omar Sheish al Shmoina. Rab Shimon said 6 to 8, so where does 4 come from? It doesn't make sense to have in the distance of 4, 3 Kvarim. So who is the Mishnah? Said the Gemara Loilam Rab Shimon he. Really, the Mishnah is Rab Shimon. Vaitanahu, and there's a machloikas in Rab Shimon, the distance, what the shita of Rab Shimon, is it from 4 to 8 or 6 to 8? The Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Motzon Ritzufim, if you found 3 dead people very close to each other without no distance in between, Ve'ein b'nei midaled amos and ches, and there's less than 4 to 8 amos, there's less than 4 amos in between them, Yesh lo tfusa, you have to take away the earth around them if you want to move them. They don't have a din of shchunas kvaros that you're not allowed to move them. Rab Shimon ben Yehuda oimer mishum Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon, the son of Rab Yehuda, says in the name of Rab Shimon, and the Rashbam says here very yesodistic thing for the whole Shas over here, that whenever it says Rab Shimon, Stam Rab Shimon, Ein Rab Shimon ben Yochai. So it's interesting, sometimes the Shas says Rab Shimon ben Yochai, and sometimes the Shas only says Rab Shimon, but even when it says Stam Rab Shimon, it means Rab Shimon ben Yochai. So what does he say, Rab Shimon ben Yochai? Roim esaim tzoim keilu einom, even though that they're so close together, and you could assume maybe they're just being buried there just temporarily, and it's not shchunas kvaros, and therefore you should be allowed to move them. No, we look as if the middle ones are not there, v'ashar mitztarfim, and therefore there's a distance between, let's say he found 5 bodies in 4 amis, so you take the 2 middle ones, number 2 and 4, and then you have a distance in between. Midaled amis, v'ad ches amis. And then we look at it as if there's 8 to 4 amis, 4 to 8 amis. So we could see over here, Reb Shimon says not like the Mishnah. He says even from 4 amis. So the Mishnah, not like the Mishnah by us. So the Mishnah that we brought, that it says that from 4 to 8 amis, is going to the shitta of Reb Shimon, the machlokes where Reb Shimon held, and it's going to the shitta of Reb Shimon, that you go already from 4 to 8, not only 6 to 8. Saying more, okay, b'mayu kimta, what did he explain the Mishnah that we brought? Reb Shimon, that goes for Reb Shimon. Ema Seifa, let's look in the Seifa of the Mishnah. Boideku menu lahalon. Once you found three dead people, you have to check a distance of Esrim Amo. Moni, who is it? Reb Shimon, Esrim Metarti Avin. Because Reb Shimon says that the cave, how deep is it? It's 8, and then the chotza is 6, so that's 14. And then another 8, the other cave in the opposite direction, like in the picture in the Rashbam and Kuf Aleph Omod Aleph. So it comes out 22 amis you should check. Why does it say they check only 20 amis? Says the Gemara, Rabbanon, if you want to tell me the Sefer is Rabbanon, Tam Nisrei Avin. Let's calculate Lefi Rabbanon. One cave is a length of 6, and then the other one is 6, the Chotza, and the other cave is also 6, so it's 18. Why does it say they check 20? So the Gemara loylem Rabbanon here. Really, it's Rabbanon. They could go in the bodak balech soina. It means that when he checked the first cave, the length is 6 amis. When you look sideways, when you dig sideways instead of going in a straight, so sideways of 6 is 8. So he checked sideways to look everywhere, because when you look sideways, you don't miss anything out, because maybe someone's buried a bit more in, a bit more out. That's why he did sideways, like on a slant, more like it. And therefore, it comes out to 8 amis. So if he checked one cave in a slant, so the second cave that's opposite, he should also check in a slant. If you do 8 plus 8 plus 6 is 22. Why does it take 20 amis? So the Gemara, no, he only bothers to look one in a slant, one cave in a slant. To look 2 caves in a slant, you don't need to, and therefore one cave in a slant comes out 8 amis, plus 6 of the chotza and another 6 they go straight. That's exactly 20 amis, and therefore the Sefer of the Mishnah goes lefi shitas chachomim. So the Gemara daf kuf beis omud beis. Rav Sheisha, Breder Ravidi Omar, Rav Sheisha, the son of Ravidi, says, L'oilom Rab Shimon hi. Really, our Mishnah is talking about the whole Mishnah, even the Sefer is Rab Shimon. Oh, l'chara, lefi Rab Shimon, you should have to check 22 amis. It's not enough to check 20 amis. Says the Gemara, v'ochi b'ma'askina, and we're talking about benifli. It's so much that the cave was of unborn babies, that they were just born and they buried them. So it's a much smaller, its babies are buried, so it's a much smaller cave, only of 6 amis. And therefore, since a cave is 6 amis, 6 plus a chotza is 6, plus the other cave is 8, so it's 20. Just 1 second. Yeah, the Rashbam learns that it means that the 3 dead ones that he found were literally nifli. You saw that there were small babies, there were small, and therefore you only check 6 amas, because for babies they'd make a smaller cave. Said the Gemara on that, if one cave is for babies, unborn babies, the cave opposite should also be of babies, and therefore tam nisrei avin. So if you 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18, why do you have to check 20? So the Gemara, Chode b'nifli amrinan, Tarti b'nifli lo amrinan. Even though that the cave you found one of them is in b'nifli, and therefore you assume it was only 6 amas deep, still the one opposite, you don't assume there was also of nifli, because it's rare they should have a cave only of nifli. There was one cave of nifli, but the opposite is of normal people, and therefore it's 8 amas long, and therefore 8 plus a chotza plus a 1 of nifli comes out 20, and therefore the whole Mishnah kefittin like Rab Shimon, and it's much more gishmak to say that the whole Mishnah is Rab Shimon than to say the ratio is Rab Shimon and the seif is Rabbanon. Said the Gemara, V'romid Rabbanon Rabbanon, V'romi Rab Shimon Rab Shimon. I'm going to ask you a kasha, a steer on Rab Shimon and a steer on Rabbanon. Why? We learned kerem not tu al pochis mi'arba amos. If you had a vineyard and the lines between the vineyard were less than 4 amos, Rab Shimon Einoi kerem. We don't look at it as a kerem, because to be a kerem that you're not allowed to plant this roim has to have 2 and 2 and 1 coming out at the edge. But the 2 and 2 have to be a distance of at least 4 amos, like we learned early on. So if it was less than 4 amos, Rab Shimon says you don't look at it as a vineyard. The Chacham Aryeh the kerem, you do look at it as a vineyard. The roim is the ones in the middle that are too close, keilo einom, as if they're not existing. Says the kasha the Rabbanon the Rabbanon, because the Rabbanon say when you find 3 dead people too close to each other, we don't say we take the middle one out and we say there's a distance in between. And by Kromim you do say so. The kasha the Rab Shimon the Rab Shimon, the steer Rab Shimon and Rab Shimon one against each other. Then one place he says that you by the mason you say you take the middle ones out, and by the kerem not. Said the Gemara, no. The Rab Shimon loy kashi. I'll tell you why. Hosom loy nati inshadat eleakar. By a vineyard, people don't plant trees and planning to uproot them afterwards. And therefore, if you planted it too close, it's not a vineyard. It's just for firewood. Hocha, but by dead people, zimnim de misramele ben hashmoshes, they were going to bury this person just Erev Shabbos, and they were in a big rush. Umikru manchile, and they buried him between other people, and therefore it doesn't ruin the other people to be a beis hakvaros. The Rabbanon Amiloy Kasha is also now stira hocha over here by the dead people cave and the minval, since it's not bakovadik to bury people so close to each other. Loy mikra keva, it's not considered a keva, and therefore you're allowed to move them. Hossam by the vineyard, Meima Arma, we could say, Hey Minai de Shapi, he planted a bunch, too many, and he says, the ones that are good I'm going to leave. The Deloy Shapi, the ones who don't grow good, Leave Letzivi, I'm going to use them for firewood, and I'm going to uproot them, and therefore we look at it as a kerem, and therefore that's a difference between a kerem and a beis hakvaros. Hadron aloch hamoiche peres. We should come back to Hamoiche peres and learn you many times again, and we should remember what we learned, and we should be zoiche to understand in deeper ways, and to be zoiche to learn more and finish a whole shas and understand it and remember. And we should all be zoiche for pseres toivos, very close. Bimera b'yomeinu. Amen. Thank you very much. I'll show you a little bit around the shul over here. It's a very beautiful old shul. That is a very precious Jew here in Kuchin who takes care of it. It was vandalized about in the 70s, and then